All right, so this is a backtesting session on gold, strictly on gold price action here. From Monday, 17th of October, that's the week that we're going to be backtesting here. So starting on the weekly time frame, looking at the structure, we have a significant break of structure on the weekly time frame right at 1680.9. And that's coming from this supply area, so weekly supply right at 1807. Now we see from this break came to create a lower high, retesting previous these candle body rejections here, and we've closed a strong bearish candle, opening up the week up here and closing much weaker around 1644. Below the previous week's low, so a very strong bearish candle here on the weekly time frame. So coming down to the daily time frame here, let's identify our structure levels. Well, we see that on the daily time frame we've got, from the weekly supply level, we've got this bearish structure here. So now from this, I'm going to draw out my daily key levels. So this level is our first daily bearish break of structure around 1727. Conveniently is exactly the level that we come to retest and reject last week. Okay, so now moving on to this level right here. This is the next bearish break of structure right here, and there's one more down here. Right, so then from this low right here is the daily supply for this level. Copy and paste that. This is the daily supply for this leg, and then one more time, this is the daily supply for this leg to the downside here. Now from the pullback, we've come up and we've broken past this daily supply level, but we've rejected these key levels as previously mentioned here. So I'm going to change this to a bullish break. However, this bullish push to the upside here rejected strongly, and we failed to create any sort of support. We've just kind of come right back below this level, created this lower high right at the weekly key level here, 1680, rejected, and now we're closing back below this daily break of structure right here. And I forgot to identify this level, but on the weekly, this is a important weekly wick, right? So this is the lower low from the weekly break of structure, so this is a important level as well, 1614, almost 1615 basically. So now we have our key levels on the higher time frames, and we see that we are bearish on the daily and the weekly, which aligns well with our macro bias of bearish fundamentals based on the aggressive rate hike cycle by the Fed. So this is shown within this strong bearish structure from the highs around 2067 all the way now down to the low 1620. So we are extremely bearish on the higher time frames. Let's move down to the 4-hour and go to Monday. On Monday, all right. So let's go to Monday. Perfect. Monday at 5. Looking at the New York session here. All right. So let's break down the 4-hour structure. So we see, what do we see? So from the higher time frame rejection around 1727, we've created this double top and aggressively pushed back down below previous lows here, and we started to range below this weekly key level and created another double top into a new leg down where we created this lower high and now forming sort of a double bottom here. But now we see that this level right here is our 4-hour break of structure here, and that would mean this level right here is our 4-hour supply. So now we see that there is a cluster of key levels between 1680 and 1689. So I'm going to identify this zone and mark that as red. We have a very important sell side liquidity level in this range here. Okay, so now I've confirmed based on market structure that the weekly is bearish, the daily is bearish, the 4 hour is bearish. Okay, however, we're starting to range here a little bit at these lows here. Let me mark that out in gray. This is a significant level that we're failing to break right now. Okay, but we're still bearish on all these time frames. Now let's break down the 1 hour. Now on the 1 hour time frame, let's bring this over to New York Open. 1, 2, 3. This should be 8 a.m. So at New York Open, the structure on the 1 hour looks like this. So let's break down the price action. From the double top at 1680 liquidity zone, we had this aggressive drop down to our area of interest around 1644. There we've had another leg up, pullback, double top on the 1 hour, break of structure, continuation to the downside. Now, we didn't quite close below these lows, but we did print new lows. Right? So it's still significant in terms of seller strength here. So I'm going to identify this level right here that we're actually retesting right now. Right? So this right here is a 1 hour break of structure. And that would mean this level up here is 1 hour supply. So even within this pullback here, we're still respecting this bearish 1 hour structure. So now I'm going to identify these lows currently is a sell side liquidity zone. Even when we came up to retest this level here, it's still extremely bearish here. So I'm going to extend the sell side zone to include these wicks here. So based on current structure, I know that we are bearish on all time frames, even though we're starting to reject the bottom side of this range here. We still have to acknowledge that sellers are in control. So based on the structure, I'm going to be looking for sells in this zone, or even if we come back up to retest this 1 hour supply level, this could also be a sell zone, or that higher time frame supply level as well. So looking for potential sells from this zone, come up to retest the 1 hour supply, also looking for sells, or finally this level right here. So these are my 3 levels of looking for potential sells in the market, and also could scale into sells if we break back below the daily break of structure here. Right, so scale back below the daily break of structure for continuations, and finally this level as well. Once we break this level, continuations below 1644. So those are my trade ideas right there for the Monday. Now looking at the 1 minute time frame, let's get some confirmations for potentially take some trades here. Identify to start the week. We've had this pullback structure. So this can easily just be a all right, so let's break this down. So we have bullish price action on the 1 minute. So I'm not going to aggressively jump into sells yet, because we are starting to create potentially an upper wick for the weekly candle. But we need to start showing a shift of behavior on the lower time frames from bullish to bearish here. So we're sort of having this ranging here, but we are maintaining this bullish structure. We did dig into the sell side liquidity and have a reaction here. So it's pretty promising right here. We've got initial reactions on the 1 minute, and it did create a lower low here, and we're coming back up but we're not showing a lot of buyer strength. So let's just see how we open up the New York session and see if we can potentially reject these levels here. All right, so here we're seeing no rejections, just straight up strength into the markets here. So there's no sells to be had here. Even if you're looking for potential rejections from the zone, just look at the strength of the bullish candles come up. So there's no trade to be had here. There's no shift, sellers take over or anything like that. There's no signs of sellers coming in and buyer exhaustion. So there's no trade here. Keep going. Not looking for any buys here, but just looking for sells. We are coming up to our next zone. So at this point, we're either looking for sells at this zone based on our pre-session analysis, or if we come back down below these levels and potentially retest these previous rejection zones. So right here, there's no trade in the middle of the range. Just sideways price action here. Come to retest this key level, this 4-hour key level. We're still rejecting for the time being, but we need to break back below this level to look for any potential sells. So that's it for me. For between 8 to 11, this is the New York session and the New York open to London close. This is my trade window. And for me personally, there is no trade that fit my plan. There's no trade that fits my pre-session trade ideas. Even here, we had this rejection, these sort of rejections here, where we had this double top and then the sell-off, and when we came up to retest these levels, had a clean rejection and sold off from there. But I don't take these sort of trades when it's in the middle of the range, and I identified this zone, 1670s, as where I'm looking for that trade, or back below this zone, right? So I did not get any trade on Monday. All right. And it just sort of sideways, so nothing really happening. Maintaining this bullish pullback structure for now, and then we get some late day selling, right, when I'm not in the market. But so this is the trade idea I was waiting for. Break back below my sell zone, and then easy sells on the retest here, right? We even got this sort of ABC confirmation where we had a weak support into our zone, liquidity grab, and then sellers take over, print new lower lows, and we just sell off from there. So nice confirmations of sells after the break and retest continuation. So this sell played out late day around 1:30. So sometimes gold just moves in the afternoon like that. There's nothing I could do. I'm not going to be sitting at the charts from 8 to 8 to 5. Like, I'm not going to spend all day at the charts, so I'm going to miss some trades, and this trade is one of those that is outside my trading window, so I can do nothing about it. So moving on to our next day here, let's go to Tuesday here. All right. Now, there's nothing else to note here on the 4-hour. The structure is the same. Right. So the 4-hour is the same structure. Now we're sort of entering into this range here. right? We're failing to break any lower. We're not breaking any higher. And here, even if we're starting to create this lower high here, we're not coming from a new lower low. This is still technically potentially a higher low. So there's no clear market structure. Even though we're still below this 4-hour key level here, price action is showing indecision to start the week. Right? Going at the daily, we're still closing within this wick rejection. Even this candle close was above this wick. Now we're closing still within this wick range. So just a messy range between 1645 and the 1660s, even up to the 1670s. Just a messy range right between these zones right now. Let's go down to the 1 hour. 1 hour. Let's bring price forward here. No clean structure on the 1 hour. So trade ideas are literally the exact same from Monday. Rejection from this zone, 1659. I'm going to expand the sell side zone here to include this wick rejection. So I'm just going to clean up my sell zones here. So same ideas, right? Same ideas. I'm going to sell this zone between 1659 and 1660s, right? Resell these zones here. Sell the supply zone at 1668 to 1670, or the higher time frame zone, 1680s as well. More of a risky sell below this daily breaker structure, but it's still valid for potential scalp down to 1644s. So looking at these key levels right here, 4 sells. And yeah, keeping in mind that we are within a range on the higher time frames, on the 4-hour time frame. So not going to expect huge amount of volatility here unless we show some cleaner price action and some fresh liquidity zones, like a new 1 hour lower low breakage structure or new 4-hour breakage structure, anything like that. But right now we're just playing within this range. So at this point, obviously we broke back above the daily break structure, retest and rejecting. So at this point, the same trade ideas here. If we break higher, 1659, potential sells from here, or if we break back below this level, could have a nice sell below 1654. No clean break here. So we need a deeper break on the downside. Here we had this candle close below, but if you notice, the candle closed above previous wick rejections, so there's no break at all. Nothing. Just dog shit price action for the time being. Alright, now we have a clean break. So now we could potentially have this trade idea here play out if we retest this zone. Okay. Clean retest. There we go. There we go. Right? Nice double top rejection at the daily breaker structure here. Got this ABC liquidity zone here. So at this point, potentially have a sell on the retest of this liquidity zone. It's a 14, let's see, 14 pips range. So let's make that 1.5 times, which is 21 pip. 2 to 1 would be a 42 pip first target. Let's see how this plays out. Let's see that retest. There, we got the retest right here. There we go. Very nice trade. Perfect. Perfect execution. Okay, so that was exactly, look what I drew out. Isn't that not exactly what I was looking for? Once we got that confirmation, we've got this nice ABC liquidity zone. Come to retest this zone here. Nice safe stop loss above the key level. And we just see gold melt into first targets here. Now, extended targets for this trade idea, let me delete the drawings now. Now, the extended targets for this trade idea would be the 1644 zone. So at this point, have a stop loss at break even. 2R would be that first target. We're taking off position, reducing our risk. Now setting our runner risk free for our extended target. Let's see if that plays out. Coming dangerously close to our stop loss. We're still in the trade right here. And we're out. So, unfortunately, in this position, we did not get to our target. We got to about 63 pips in floating profits before it came back to our entry. That it is what it is. That's why you secured most of your position at your first target here. Looking back, maybe you could eyeball it, once you get this double bottom and failure to break and then some consecutive bullish candles, could potentially close another portion deep in profits here over 50 pips. If you want to close out for the day, that would be allowed, right? This would be a good exit based on the failure to break lower and the consecutive bullish candles coming back in. But if I'm holding the trade, anticipating potentially this pullback, and we could have continued after this deeper pullback, and especially right here, which we had this lower low, it could have easily just reversed and continued in our direction. So that's a risk that you have to take here. But either way, bank some profits on a nice trade here. Very nice trade based on all of the confirms of market structure with our sell side bias. And we got also, you see this little bit of a pullback structure get broken to the downside. And now retest the bottom of this ABC liquidity zone. Very clean trade with all the confirmations that we need, and worked out in our favor here. So Tuesday, so far, Monday was a no trade day. Tuesday was a nice sell. And let's move on to Wednesday. Let's see if we're going to get any structure break or if we're just going to stay in this range. All right, so nice. Overnight, Tuesday overnight into Wednesday London session, we're starting to get more bearish price action here. And now I can mark out this level right here. We got a fresh 4-hour break of structure, 1646. Very, very nice, and we're printing new lows for the week. So we now on the weekly time frame, we're printing new lows below 1640. So this is good for our sell side bias. Now, on the 1 hour, let's move this over to 8 a.m. This is 7, and this is 8. So we got a new 1 hour break of structure right here, 1637. So at this point, we're in a bearish bias. Let me identify this new sell side liquidity zone right here, the bottom side of this range that we were originally playing, and we're breaking past below the 1644 to 1641 liquidity zone as well. So still playing the sell side bias here. Now we have some new levels to play with. Potential retest of this 1 hour break of structure for sells, retest of this liquidity zone, or the 1646 liquidity zone as well, or breaking past below this 1 hour low. You have some continuations to the downside, so still extending our sell side bias here. Now, go on the 1 minute. We've got all these zones to play with. Let's see what happens. And again, we got these lows right here. Break below these lows would be the continuation sells. Alright, so we broke, did not get a clean retest, we just came right back above, so there's no trade here. Came back down to double bottom. Now I'm going to extend this zone. For clean sells, we're going to have to break below these 1 minute rejection levels. After we see some aggressive fake outs as we break new lows, come right back in, aggressively come back down to retest the lows, go right back up for new higher highs on the 1 minute. This is showing some exhaustion by the sellers, and we're potentially getting into a pullback, which is good because we want to get into our sells at our higher time frame zones here. So this would be good. And we were looking at this 1 hour structure as well. So let's keep going, passing 9 o'clock here. New 4 hour candle coming up on New York Stock Exchange open. Here it is. Get a little bit of volatility as we come in to retest these highs. Did not retest our 1 hour key level yet. We're just still within the range. Nothing clean just yet. All right. Here we got a nice retest here. All right. Okay. So at this point, let's bring out my drawing tool. At this point, we have this sort of 1 minute structure playing out. We got our retest. We've got our higher time frame structure confirms. At this point, we have our weak support into our key level. We have a potential liquidity grab. Now we need sellers to take over, and then we could create this potential ABC liquidity zone if we break past below these lows here. So we got a potential sell opportunity right here. We need to see further confirmations. Here we go. Now we got sellers taking over. So now this is confirmed as an ABC liquidity zone, right? Again, we got the A part of the liquidity zone, which is the weak support. B, which is the liquidity grab, retest the key level, failed to break. And now C, we got sellers taking over, new lower low, new 1 minute breaks of structure. We got a confirmation of this ABC zone being formed. So at this point, we're setting an order to sell. Let's get the retest of this A. Stop loss, 25 pip ABC range, so 1.5 times this. This would, half of 25 is 12.5. So adding 12.5 to 25 is a 37 pip stop. Here we go, something like that. And now we're looking for 2 to 1 as our first target. So we're looking for price to break past below these lows here for our target, sure, but we could manage our trade. If we see some rejections here, we could always put our stop loss at break even and just put some discretion on this trade. But this is all the confirmations we need for some continuation sells. So taking the trade, we got the order placed, we got triggered in by this wick. Now let's just sit and wait. Just messing about, but we do see sellers come in. All right, at this point we are starting to reject these levels. Not for long, as we're starting to break, retest this zone, coming to the downside. So we're looking pretty good. We're in good shape here. Just a little bit more for our target to be hit. And that's about it, right? Just flirting with our take profit. See, things like this is just it's so tough to hold when it's live, but it just pays off in the long run if you do wait for the market to reward you for your patience. And there we go. See, eventually we did get our target hit. So now, is there room for an extended target? Well, sure. There's these higher time frame lows that we're playing. There's also this potential level here. So what would that look like? Well, we could put our stop loss at break even at this point. We took our profits, 75 pips, extend for 127 pips. Why not, right? We're playing this gold bearish structure and bearish sentiment here. Now let's extend and see what happens with our runner. Our runner on Tuesday got stopped out at break even. Let's see how what happens on Wednesday. Now we're holding it past the rollover period. So now we're now on the new daily candle here. But we're in healthy profits, so we could definitely hold through that. And we see that the sellers printed a new low, getting a pullback for the Asian session. Making our way to the downside. Nice extended target hit. A nice rejection right from our zone here. But we got extended targets, 427 pips hits. It's a 3.4 risk reward. Very nice trade on our Wednesday. All right, so now we are on Thursday. Let's go one more candle. All right, so now we're on Thursday. We've got our, let's go on the daily time frame real quick. We have a brand new daily break of structure. These lows here that we broke to the downside and closed strongly below. So we have a nice new daily break of structure at this level. We've got our 4-hour break of structure here. All right, so this is our daily low that we broke. We had our pullback, consolidation, new 4-hour break of structure. So now we have our two key levels here, daily and 4-hour break of structure. So we are bearish on the higher time frames here. Just printed a new lower low. It's going down to the 1 hour. Based on the 1 hour here, let's bring this one back to prior to the New York Open. Okay, so based on the, so let's fix this zone here. That was our previous little zone of interest, but now it's officially a sell side zone here. So I'm going to turn it red. This is our daily break of structure, and also we have our 1 hour key level that we took sells from Wednesday at around 1637. That's also a key level right here. We're coming up to retest this. Now we have some. Technically, on the 1 hour, we have a little bit of a pullback structure forming, and in the London session, we actually created a bullish 1 hour break of structure. And this would mean this level right here is our 1 hour higher low. We mark that our 1 hour demand zone. So at this point, our 1 hour is entering pullback structure from these lows. So in terms of market structure, to summarize our market structure confirmations, we have our weekly, daily, 4 hour, all in bearish structure. Now our 1 hour is in bullish structure. So at this point, still looking for potential sells, but mindful of this 1 hour structure. So looking at higher time frame structures only. So looking at the daily break of structure for potential sells. Going to watch this bullish 1 hour key level carefully, but still looking for potential sells at this zone or our 4 hour zone as well, 1646, and would have to technically break back below 1635 for any confirmations of continuation on the sell side, based on the current pullback sentiment here, right? So we're still bearish on the higher time frames and everything. Just going to be looking at potential higher time frame supply areas to sell from, and being cautious of this pullback and waiting for clearer signs of exhaustion here. So right here, not looking for a sell at this 1 hour structure since we just printed a 1 hour new higher high. Going to wait for a retest of 1640. All right, we got a little bit of a news on Thursday. On Thursday, we had the Philly Fed manufacturing came out worse than expected at 8:30. So we had bad data, which is usually bullish for gold because it is bad for the fundamental bias, since the rate hikes by the Fed are showing more effect of recessionary effects on the economy, meaning they can't be as aggressive as they need to be, which is bullish for gold since the rate hikes will be less aggressive. But even with that information, it just gets faded out very quickly here. Then we're breaking back below. So for me, there's no active trade ideas. We came up, barely scratched the surface of our daily break of structure, but just came up to retest 1640 and had to clean rejections from that zone. But I'm not seeing clean price action to take a sell just yet. And even right now, we're rejecting this bullish structure here. So we need to see a little bit more signs of to take a sell. All right, now we're retesting my zone, but way too bullish. So the reason why there was no trade here, there's no clean. First of all, did not touch the zone. Even if we're just a couple pips away, my rules are rules. Rules are rules. It has to retest this zone. If it doesn't, then there's no trade. It's as simple as that. And what am I going to do? Measure out this ABC? Like, where is this ABC coming from? Like, is this the full ABC? Like, from this higher low? Like, there's no ABC for me to trade. There was no retest. There's no ABC. There was no sell. This was just a news-based reaction. I'm waiting for cleaner setups here. And as you can see, we had the bad data, which is bullish for gold. We had the initial reaction of sellers come in, But then you see the sellers exhaust, and then we see the buyers come back in, playing off that data, and that's bullish sentiment here. So may not get any rejection confirmations here based on the strength of the bulls here at this point. Actually, hold that thought. Yeah. So we're starting to see an accumulation of orders here, an order block. However, we never broke back below this level to confirm sell side liquidity. We actually ended up continuing the buy side here. So at this point, again, I'm only trading between 8 and 11. After 11, I'm off the charts. I'm not even looking at this. I'm not even looking at the charts after this, but yeah. So there's no trade on Thursday based on my system, based on my trade ideas, and based on what happened within my trade session. However, once we broke past below this daily break of structure, sells are back on. Again, gold likes to move sometimes after I'm away from the charts, but any retest of this level would be valid sells based on my pre-planned analysis. So even then, we didn't even get the retest. We're just starting to sell off here. But that's all right. So no trade on Thursday. Only 2 trades so far this week. 2 wins, Tuesday and Wednesday. Remember, you do not need to trade every single day. It's actually better if you are just way more patient and wait for your trade setup to come, and that you're not forcing anything. You're not going and being, look at this volatility, I'm going to hop into sells here and then just get faded out. No, I'm waiting for my perfect setup and being patient about that. So no trade on Thursday. Looking at Friday now. All right. So this point, we got a little bit of a 4-hour break of structure here, right? We created this higher low, this lower high, and this lower low. All right, let's go to the 1 hour here. All right. So this is a weak 4-hour break of structure here, as we did not have a continuation of this move. We actually are coming into these lows here, these weekly lows around the 1615s, 1616s, rejecting 1617s around here. But we do have fresh new 1 hour structure here. So this 1 hour key level here, I'm going to move this over here. Now we got a brand new 1 hour break of structure here at this point. So from these new lows, looking for the following trade ideas: retest of 1 hour structure for the sells, come back up, retest the daily key level for sells, or if we come back below this 4 hour key level, sells below that key level, and of course below the weekly key level as well. So those are my key levels based on daily still being in bear structure, 4 hour being in bear structure, and having a fresh new 1 hour break of structure as well. So we have all of our time frames in confluence on the bearish side here. And nope, let's not exit that just yet. Now let's see price action. Okay, so we're breaking past below our 4 hour key level. A nice break and retest at this point. I'm looking for a clean ABC liquidity zone below this zone right here. Not getting that so far. Just a little bit too messy for me to be taking any sells here, not getting a clean break liquidity zone before taking the sells here. We had this quick retest here. No confirmations for me to take the sell. And came back to retest, actually created a higher high, higher low, and breaking back to the upside. Now at this point, we're getting some real aggressive price action here, and retesting our sell level around 1630, getting initial reaction, but it's just way too bullish at this point. So here, looking for ABC, something like this, right? We're getting this liquidity zone. However, we got our A, which is our support. We got our B, which is our liquidity grab, failed to break, but we don't have our C, which is sellers take over, print new lows. We actually reject the lows here. So no confirmations just yet. Just extremely bullish price action for the time being. Now we're retesting our 1640 sell zone here, so looking for the same confirmations. Absolutely no reasons to sell. Alright, at this point, now we get some confirmations of buyer exhaustion. So if we're drawing out our structure, our buyers printing new higher highs, new higher lows. Now at this point, create a higher low. Liquidity grab here. So we have some wick rejections, this double top. So we have our A, which is our weak support, B, our liquidity grab, failure to break, and C, right now we have our sellers take over, create new lower lows. So at this point, this shows me that this right here is my ABC liquidity zone, and now I could take sells at the retest of this level to potentially come to the downside here. So I'm setting an order 1640, almost 1641. Stop loss. Measuring out this zone here, it's about 38 pips. So half of 38 is 18. Is it 18? No, it's 19. 19. So 19 plus 38 is 47, 57. So 57 pips stop loss. That would mean my target would need to be 2 to 1. Alright. So here we go. Let's see if we get triggered in, and let's see what happens. Here we get triggered into the trade, initial drawdown, come back into profits, a little bit of a messy price action for the time being. Oh, and we get stopped out. Alright, so we get all our confirmations, we get our ABC rejections at our daily key level here. We get all the price action on the 1 minute confirmations of a exhaustion ABC liquidity zone. We get our entry at the retest. Unfortunately, sellers do not come in, and buyers are just way too strong here and stop us out. So that's it for the week. That concludes our week of October 17th to 21st. To summarize, we got 3 trades, one on Tuesday and Wednesday. One Tuesday win, Wednesday win, nothing on Thursday, and Friday we take a loss. And average win was 2R for our first targets, and so overall +4 on the wins, -1, +3 for the week on gold in terms of risk